Hello there, Chris Piercy here of Wedding Industry Wisdom. Hopefully some people will join in, as it is our second live training on how to write or how to craft perfect wedding blog titles. So very exciting if you like writing blogs and want to know how to create better titles. Really selling it. Sorry, I was trying to talk and invite people at the same time. Jackie B. Brister is now watching. Wave, and Ariane's watching. Ariane says hola, which, for those who don't know, is Spanish for octopus.
Hello.
Hi. I thought for just a second that you were wearing a red and white gingham tie with a red and white gingham shirt.
I am not doing that. I am wearing purely a red and white gingham shirt. There is no
No,
tie to be seen.
it was just the way that your cord was hanging down, which made it look like the edge of a tie for just a second. But hopefully, no one has ever worn a red and white gingham tie with a red and white gingham shirt.
I should hope not.
Because, yeah, that would be a bit of a travesty for everyone, really. So,
Everyone.
literally everyone. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Standard? Standard,
How's your back?
yep. It hasn't fallen. It hasn't fallen off yet. It's, 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 most of it's where it's supposed to be.
Most of it. Fair
Most
enough.
of it. There are parts of it which aren't. So there we go. Um, have Have you got your where? What the, I'm so intrigued. I'm
I
so
genuinely have no idea what it is, and I've no idea who sent it to me either. There might be a clue inside, but I'm not entirely sure at the moment, so I'm looking forward to finding out what's in it.
so we obviously we're opening that at the end, right?
Yeah, we've got, yeah, because let's be honest, that's the only reason anyone's here today is because they want
Yeah,
to see what's inside here.
yeah. So if you want to know what's in that, then maybe tune back in about like 50 minutes time or something like that. And just
Yeah.
get, Aaron Jonas says, "What is it? We don't know.
I
If you were
genuinely don't know.
if should we be recording?
Yeah, let's start. Let's do
Let's
a
start.
recording.
Let's start recording. Hello there, Chris Beardsley here of Wedding Industry Wisdom, and joined as always by Mr. Jack Brister. Say hello, Jack.
Hello.
Hello. So it's doing our introduction there. We have been on the podcast for a couple of minutes and realised we should probably be recording because Jack has. Well, if you were listening last week, you would have heard that for Jack's birthday, he received a mug which had a phallic protrusion from the centre of it
That's
upwards.
probably the nicest way you could have put that, isn't it?
I was being particularly sensitive for those of a more sensitive disposition. So and
Good evening, Dean. Just want to say hi. Dean's on.
um, so Jack was trying to work out who'd sent it, and we realised that Jack's address is actually on the bottom of every email. So if you're on our email list, Jack's address is on there. So I might have slightly encouraged people to send Jack penis-related mugs, but Jack's received something in the post. We think from the handwriting it's probably from a woman, but you know it might not be. That's quite clearly not a mug. Um,
No.
um, I don't know what it is, but we're going to be opening that, or Jack's going to be opening it live on the podcast, or
Which
on
would be
the
riveting listening for those of you who aren't watching it live and are listening to the recording of it.
if you're listening to the recording, I will do my very best to describe what is happening. But yes, this is we are here for our second live training, which is all about how to write more better at blog titles.
Yeah, better blog titles. That is exactly it.
Always use the word better wherever you can. Yeah. No, I'm going to start being serious because this is actually live training and it should actually be helpful.
Yes.
So, for those of you who don't know much about how I operate as a business, blogs do take up are a kind of pillar of my advertising, of my SEO, of my business essentially. I write a lot of, or not a lot of blogs, I write a good amount of blogs without it taking over my life. But I realized maybe a couple of years back that it doesn't matter how good the blog is if the title of it is a pile of rubbish. So me and Jack have both mentioned this book before. This is the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. That may appear backwards to you. It's not actually
It
backwards
does,
in
yeah.
real. It's not backwards in real life. It's just okay, just so you understand that. But one of the kind of mic drop moments from within that book, for me personally, I think for Jack as well, is that any line of copy text that you write anywhere, the goal of that line is to get someone to read the next line, and then the goal of that line is to get someone to read the next line. So, and the idea is that you create momentum as people are reading through something. It's the idea is that you kind of it's like pushing someone down a slide, and then they kind of just start taking themselves under their own weight through the rest of whatever you want them to read. So that actually has to start off with a well-written title. So no matter how good the blog is, you have to have a good title to start with, because otherwise people aren't even going to read the first title, the first word of whatever that is. So that's the reason why we're doing this. And also, as of today, the new course on how to write wedding blogs that people will actually read has been released. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. So this is to kind of pair in with that quite nicely. This is a bit of free training, and then if you want to buy the course is now available. A few other people watching. So Phil's now watching, and
Hi,
Angus is
Phil.
watching, and Angus is watching as well.
Hi,
Shall,
Angus.
have I given enough introduction?
Yes, get on with it. I want to learn as well. So, just for those of you who don't know how I run my business, I currently have taken all the blogs off my website, but that's a completely different matter for a completely different day. But I used to have blogs on my website, and I did not write a single one of them, pretty much. I
Yeah,
used to write them, and then I realised I A wasn't very good, B didn't want to write them, and C knew someone who could write them better, so got someone else to write them for me. So I'm interested to see what Chris has to say on this. So hopefully that we can all learn something about this evening.
well, yeah, because you said you picked up a lot of stuff from the course when we were recording that, so hopefully you'll pick up something from this as well, and maybe do some of your own work fronts. That'd be nice. But there we go. So I think I've gone into like if basically if you get the title of the blog wrong, then people will never read it. That is the bottom line of it. So if you nail it, then it's naturally going to intrigue people, and it's going to get people to start reading the blog essentially. Now, in terms of the writing the blog itself, that is all covered in the course, so I'm not going to go into that part of it. So what I am going to go through is the importance of it, how I structure it, and I'm going to throw out a few of the successful blog titles I've used and break them down into the why I ended up calling them what they're called. So I don't know whether this is going to be really, really, really dull, or it's going to be interesting. But hopefully people will learn something. Jack, you can ask the questions and keep an eye on the comments and stuff like that. As for the last training, there are notes afterwards. You can download these. We'll tell you how to get those as well, so you can read through the notes as well. So what makes a good title? It's anything that makes people actually want to read it, if that wasn't clear enough already. You can think of it as being a one-line sales pitch. So what you're essentially doing is you're trying to sell your information, your insight, or whatever the blog contains. You're trying to sell that bit of information to someone, and what they have to do is they have to exchange their time for that. So you can think of that as being this is one line, or 10, 12 words, whatever it might end up being, one line of sales pitch, which is convincing them to trade their time for that information. So that is how I view it. So it's a bit of a strange thing calling it a sales pitch, but it is a transaction. It's a transaction of time for information. So going back to the age-old thing, which you said multiple times before, and there's many different ways of saying it. You're not selling the mattress. You're selling the good night's sleep. Yeah. So you don't want to be talking about like what this thing does and how many words are in it or whatever, because that's boring. You want to be selling the benefits of whatever this particular blog you've written is all about. So what is it going to, what are you educating people on? What is the purpose of the blog? What insight are you trying to impart onto people? So that is what you want to be thinking of when you're starting to think about the blog title. And also, what action are people going to want to take after doing that? What's going to change for them? So you can be thinking all of these different things, just like you were selling any old product. You'd think about the change of status. You'd think about, how is it going to make their day easier? All of those different things. Am I making sense of that?
Yes. So would you say that, because we talk about ideal clients a lot within selling and making sure you sell properly, and just in business in general, it's one of the pillar points of our philosophy at Wedding Industry Wisdom. So do you need an ideal audience or an ideal client for your blogs? And should you define that? Should it be different to who books you? Should it be the same? When you're thinking about those blog titles, obviously you need to know those things.
Yes, I'll get round to that very shortly. But in short, yes. But what I do when I write a blog is I will start to. I'm a bit. I don't know if this is normal or this is weird. But an idea for a blog will just start to boil up in my mind and simmer on somewhere in my head, and I'll start thinking about it. And I think, oh, someone will say something. So, for instance, the most recent blog I wrote was based purely off the back of the thing that I put on the page on the group a little while ago about the £1,000 for a videographer and all of that stuff. So I wrote a blog saying why the fudge are wedding photographers so expensive. That was like more of an instantaneous thing. Stimulus response. That was what happens. More often than not, it's something that kind of simmers away in the back of my mind. So what I will do, I will not really think too much about the title of the blog, and I think that a lot of people think that they've got to do that bit first. I will have a working title in my head of what it is going to be. It's going to be a blog about for instance, for the blog that I talk about that I wrote specifically for the wedding blogging course. I was doing that about wedding traditions that people could consider getting rid of in order to make the most of their day. So I didn't go, right, I'm going to think of a really good title for this to start off. My first port of call on that was actually research and going away and thinking about that. So I just had a working title, Wedding Traditions Saving Time. Not really, those were the things that were going through my head, but what I wanted to do first was get the blog written, because sometimes blogs and other things that you're writing actually tweak and change themselves as you're going through, because you think of different things that come in and whatever. So what you start writing might end up being different to the final product. But essentially, it comes down to...
Sorry to interrupt, but that is kind of that's standard practice across a lot of industries. Like films, you hear a lot of films with working titles. And that's essentially just like a name they give it, and it's in no way going to be the final product, but it's what they're talking about at the moment. Like, because if you were to Google some working titles of films, you'd go, oh, I wouldn't go and see that. Like, I think Back to the Future was Spaceman from Mars or Pluto or something. I don't really. Yeah. So, and like, that doesn't sound anywhere near as good as Back to the Future. So... Yeah. I totally get what you're saying there. You can see how it's applied in other industries as well.
Exactly. So basically, it comes down to 4 questions. Who am I writing for? What are their aspirations? What are they about to read? And what will it do for them? So that is the 4 questions I want to ask myself when I'm creating a title for a blog. So I'm just referring to my notes here. Now, I will typically write almost all of my blogs with women in mind. I'm writing more often than not for brides, and that's basically down to the fact that I think that most men probably don't want to read a blog. I have written blogs for men in the past, and I'll give reference to one in a little while. But it's in general, it's women who are more interested in blogs, and that isn't just me being sexist and going blah blah blah. I have done lots. Well, if you've followed me at all on Wedding Industry Wisdom, I've done a lot of Facebook advertising, and I started off advertising to men and women, and the click-through rate for women is much higher. The click-through rate for the cost per click is a lot lower for women. It just very quickly made a lot of sense to just target women. And now it's for me personally. For you, it might be different. So, but that's how it tends to work for me. So let me just refer to my notes here. Spare me 1 second. So actually, the first one I'm going to actually mention is actually a blog I wrote for guys, because I thought, I'm finding that there are guys. I mean, if you've done wedding fairs and you meet a couple, quite often you'll see the guy just there with his hands in his pockets, looking down, kicking his feet together, you know, and the woman saying, "Oh yes, we're getting married here, and we're having this, having this, having this," and the guy's just going, So I thought, wouldn't it be nice? Because I don't think guys don't want to be involved. I just think they kind of don't know how to be involved in it in the same way. It's not like they don't care. It's that they don't know how to care, if that makes sense in some sort of way. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and create something that will help them with this. So the question, like when I was writing the blog itself, question one: who am I writing for? I'm writing for men who are struggling to enjoy the wedding planning process. Question two: what are their aspirations? They want to be part of the wedding planning process, but they don't want to. They don't want to interfere, get something wrong, or annoy their partner. So that's question two answered. Question three: what are they about to read? So they're about to read an 8-step guide on how to enjoy the wedding planning process. Yeah. And then question four: what will it do for them? It will let them join in the wedding planning process, seem like they care, and are interested in it all, but without having to sacrifice too much of their time and without having to interfere too much. Yeah?
Okay. So just a very quick
that'd be a
question.
very long title. So yeah.
Yeah. So is that written before or after you've written the blog post?
That is after I've written the blog post. I mean,
Right. Okay. Cool.
Because then there it will be some mental framework. A lot of my blogs, and I talk about this in the blog. I'm giving away all the information. I write my blogs almost as a stream of consciousness, because I do think you should write as you talk, especially when it comes to blogging, because it makes it a lot more readable. So I'll have a mental framework, but this will come afterwards. So the title that I went for with this particular one was simply "Guys, space hyphen, 8 steps to being an absolute wedding planning boss, brackets, with very little effort." So let's break that down. So guys just makes it very kind of, very generic. And also, there's big arguments about this, but I don't think that discounts any demographic. Guys is genderless as far
It
as
is
I'm
generic.
concerned.
Yeah.
And then it says 8 steps, so that lets, and what's quite nice about list posts, 8 steps, that lets the reader know exactly what they're getting themselves in for. Because often with blogs, people are thinking, oh my God, is this going to be like 15 minutes of my life? Whereas if you know it's 8 steps, you think, well, I can do 8. 8's not very many. 8's a small number. And then to being an absolute wedding planning boss. So this is very much playing on the kind of bantery kind of speak, which that kind of directly speaks to people of that kind of 25 to 34 age, lads sort of thing, being an absolute boss at something. Because not many guys are going to want to say, oh, I'm so good at wedding planning, because it doesn't sound particularly like manly or whatever. Whereas they will potentially quite happily say, you know what, I'm a wedding planning boss, mate, or whatever. Not something I'd say, but it speaks to them. Yeah. And then the crux of it finishes within brackets afterwards with very little effort. This is the clincher, because not only is it 8 steps, but then it doesn't actually take very much effort. So it's not like they're going to have to put hours and hours into it. So that's the title I went with, and for me, it made it seem like it would be an absolute no-brainer to not read it. That's what I was going for. I'll be completely
I guess that's
honest.
what you should always be aiming for. That, I guess, really.
Yeah, people should, if you've written something good and you think people are likely to want to read it, then the title should be the no-brainer thing that goes, this could have been written directly for you as a person. So any questions on anyone, Jack, or?
No, nothing's come through. People are obviously listening very intently.
Okay, so I've also done some hypothetical blogs as well.
Okay.
Hypothetical blog number 1. You've discovered a new must-have product for brides-to-be, but you're afraid of just promoting this one thing, so you write a blog post with 4 other great items in it as well. Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Who am I writing for? Ariane says she's very clear in writing notes. You can download notes afterwards, so you don't need to. I mean, most of what I'm saying is written down, but please do take notes as well. Who am I writing for? I'm writing for brides who want to be on it. with their planning. They want to be a finger on the pulse, etc., etc. What are their aspirations? Having the perfect wedding day that they can enjoy, which is that's a bit meh in terms of an answer, but that's pretty standard. What are they about to read? A top 5 list of items that will help them on their wedding day. And number 4, what will it do for them? Inform them about the item and give them links of where to buy them. Okay. So proposed title: 5 must-have time-saving gadgets that all in capitals savvy brides need. So for me, let's break it down. 5 lets them know exactly how many they're going to be. Denise says, "Is this a blog you are writing now? I'd be interested in sharing it for my couples." The one I'm talking about at the moment is hypothetical, so unfortunately not.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should write it.
I'd have to find 5 must-have time-saving gadgets that all savvy brides need, and I don't even know one of them. But yes,
I wrote a blog post. Oh, I say I wrote. Obviously, I didn't write the blog post. Someone wrote a blog post for me that was very similar to that a while ago. I'll see if I can dig it up.
Change the title. So breaking it down. So 5 lets them know exactly how much there is going to be of it. Must-have, that creates both intrigue and desire. Time-saving, it plays on the fears that the day will be over before people know it, because people want to make the most of the day. So if it's going to save time, that's a great thing. Gadgets lets them know it's like a physical item as opposed to an idea or an ethos or something or other. And then all savvy brides need. Now, all is capitalized for emphasis, and savvy brides plays on desire. No one wants to be an unsavvy bride. People want to be ahead of the curve. They want to be on point. They want to have all the latest knowledge, right? So I think would be a good title.
Yeah, definitely. I think what's quite nice about gadgets as well is not only is it telling you that it's a thing that you'll be able to use, but it also, gadget kind of in my mind says shortcut.
Yep.
So it's something that makes life easier. And it's also time saving, so it's got those 2 benefits going for it as well, which is what's quite nice about that phrase. So, A quick question for you while we're kind of going through these hypotheticals: how long do you spend coming up with a blog title? Does it sometimes take you longer to come up with a blog title than it does for you to write the blog?
I think initially it was difficult because essentially if you're going to use your blogs within your Facebook advertising, for example, like I do, then the title of the blog is essentially going to be the headline of your Facebook advert. So it is often something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, not as long as that it takes me to write the blog, because I think it's the sort of thing that starts to get processed as I'm going through it, and I've got like little words and phrases and things that work well for me and what I write about that I kind of do use. And don't be afraid to reuse bits and pieces, because it kind of ties in a little bit of branding to a certain extent if you kind of reuse a phrase. So, oh, I've heard them say that phrase before, that's the phrase that guy uses, whatever. But if it works, it works. If it's not broken, don't try and fix it. Don't be afraid to reuse a little bit. Don't use exactly the same title, obviously, but
But if you could, I suppose, going back to when you talked about the boss thing, you could kind of incorporate, if you made boss kind of part of your branding in very loose phrasing there. If you could incorporate that into like photography booking boss, for example, so pants, but something like that, then it gives them the concept that that's the kind of person you are because you're constantly using that phrase boss.
Yeah, exactly. If you wanted to write a whole series on becoming a wedding planning boss, incorporating all the different parts of it, that would be the exact time to be using that sort of thing. Any questions anyone's got on that, or anything that comes from your head?
Nothing's come through. People have been putting little bits and pieces in, but no questions. But thank you everyone for your comments.
Okay, so doing something completely different here. Hypothetical blog number 2. As a supplier who works a high volume and low price, you write a blog on how to DIY everything in their wedding styling. So who are you writing for? That's question 1. So you're writing for brides on a budget. What are their aspirations? Creating the wedding of their dreams without breaking the bank. What are they about to read? A how-to guide on DIY weddings. And what will it do for them? Question 4 is teach them how to do a number of different DIY products for their dream weddings. Now, I will be honest with you, the perfect title for this took a long time for me to come up with because I changed it so many times. So the proposed title I came up with was The Thrifty Bride's Ultimate Guide to Becoming a DIY Wedding Goddess.
Nice. I like that. Just very quickly, Denise has popped in. She missed the beginning and wants to know if the title matters for a blog post. Very, very, very briefly, yes. It's essentially the first thing someone's going to see of your blog post. You want to make sure you capture their imagination. You make them want to click through and find out more about what that blog actually is. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah. So yeah,
and Ariane says that's a very good blog post title. She actually says very food, but I think she means very good. There you go. She's just come in with very good there. So.
Maybe we're just all hungry. So yeah, let's break this one down. So the thrifty brides. Now, I nearly, and I could have used budget brides, but I think that budget could have some negative connotations. Whereas, if you're working for high volume and a low cost, there's nothing wrong with that. We said multiple times before. But I think saying budget bride could potentially sound insulting, whereas I think thrifty bride makes it sound like someone's, well, I take that to mean that they are clever with their money, and whereas budget kind of probably means tight-fisted.
Yeah.
So the thrifty brides ultimate guide to. So this lets the reader know that it's not going to be a quick read. Like there's certain times where you want a very quick read, and there's some times where you want a complete compendium of things. So an ultimate implies that it's a complete resource on the topic. If you have this page, if you bookmark this page, everything you'd ever want to know about it is here because it's the ultimate guide. So there'd be no need to read anything else anywhere. Yeah. Then next word is becoming. So this indicates that it will be a learning process, and it will also cause a change to happen. So you'll be it's a kind of a change of status. Now, if you look into digital marketers' sales stuff, they would say that if you can sell status to someone, that is the highest level of thing you can sell. So rather than changing their feelings or changing them what they have, if you can change their status to being something higher, then you can sell a lot better to them. And then finish next, so it's becoming a DIY wedding goddess. So I'm totally selling like the aspirational here. I very nearly went with the Thrifty Bride's Ultimate Guide to DIY Wedding Styling, but I think that notice how much more powerful it sounds to like becoming a wedding DIY goddess. It just sounds,
and that is
like,
also that's fitting into that status thing as well, isn't it? The goddess thing.
Exactly. There was a few different ideas that kind of like bounced around, but essentially that title I thought was probably one of the best titles I come up with. If I was minded to, I would write a blog on the thing just so I had a blog. But if someone wants to write a blog on that particular topic, please feel free to use that title. Just send me some money.
In an envelope.
In an envelope.
Used fivers would be nice.
Dirty fivers. Used dirty fivers, please.
Just very quickly, and this is a little tidbit that I think is quite good. I'm about to be told if it's not or not, if it is or not. This is not necessarily related to the blog title, but it's something that I kind of wanted to give away anyway. Is if you create something like an ultimate guide, that not only is the complete compendium of everything you need to know about that particular subject, but it allows you to break that blog up into separate other blogs that can then cross-promote onto the bigger blog. Is that a fair thing to say, and something that people might use and could do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that at the start of the I keep referring back to the course, but at the start of the wedding, how to write wedding blogs that people actually read course, at the very start of it, we go through why you should listen to me, and rather than saying, "Oh, I'm really good at this," I just decided to back it up with the cold hard stats. And there's one blog that I've written, which is the ultimate guide to the perfect drinks reception. mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm not. I think that title could be better, but it seems to do all right. And I was stunned, literally, that the average time people spend on that page is over 9 minutes. So people are over 9 minutes on one single blog post. So I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with having what is literally an ultimate guide. It literally covers every different topic, suggestions for different areas of the reception, different budgets, different options, links to various different parts. So that in itself is a couple of thousand words probably. I don't know, but as off the top of my head, that is a lot of words. Might even be more than that. So yeah, like Jack said, if you wanted to break it down into because there's food in there, there's drink in there, there's entertainment in there, there's styling in there, there's all these different pieces which could very easily be an 8-part series that all make up the ultimate thing. So you could turn one massive ultimate guide into 5, 6, 7, 8 smaller ones.
Yes, Ariane says that she does all her previews as a blog. For people who don't know who Ariane is, she's a photographer, but she's never actually written a blog about anything else. I think doing your previews on a blog is a really great thing because blogs not only are good for people to read, but they're also good for SEO as fresh content. So if you are able to put your previews up as a blog, that's a really great thing to do as well. If you can separate them, perhaps, and this is getting a little bit technical maybe, but if you could separate them out into categories, then you'd be able to have 2 separate blogs on your page, one that has all of your previews on and one that has blog posts that you've written out as well.
Yeah, and I think that I don't want to dive too deeply down into how to write blogs exactly, but I think photographers have got a lot of ready-made content there, because essentially what you can do, if you do shoot a variety of different styles of wedding, then you can say this is this is where my automatically thinking of a blog title thing is going to fail with me completely. But you just write blogs saying this is what my rustic wedding photos look like. You wouldn't have that as the title. Obviously, you have something like, I'm going to put myself on the spot here. The 12
rustic wedding, 12.
The 12. The 12 must see rustic wedding shots that you simply won't believe, or something like that. I mean, that's slightly too clickbaity for me, because you don't want to be going into clickbaity, like the thing where it says, you remember that girl who is Neighbours, you won't believe what she looks like now, sort of thing. You don't want to go down that clickbaity thing, because you want to be, clickbait is when you don't deliver on your title. So you want to make sure your title does end up delivering on things. So, but that's why it's important to actually think about it rather than just on the spot come up with a title. But there we go. So our final hypothetical, not actually hypothetical blog. I'm just going to read this word for word.
Okay.
Fed up with everyone else having award-winning on their websites, you decide to write a blog criticizing wedding awards and how some of them are completely bogus.
Yes.
I'm now looking at you. No, this isn't that. So this isn't actually entirely hypothetical. I actually wrote a post on my own website towards the end of 2018 after I won yet another a wedding award that I hadn't even entered. I think it was one of the Lux ones or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they say, "Congratulations, you've won. Would you like to give us $3,000 to be on the front cover of our magazine?" And
or it's like £90 for a trophy or something, isn't it? So
yeah,
yeah.
And then you don't respond. Then 3 weeks later, saying, "Oh, you're going to miss out," and then all of a sudden the prize is halved, and etc. etc. So, who am I writing for? So, people planning their weddings who care about the quality of their suppliers. What are their aspirations? Having a perfect wedding, but not paying over the odds for it. Question 3, what are they about to read? A controversial critique of wedding awards, and what will it do for them? Educate them on the wedding industry and the meaning of awards. So the title I used was Why My Award for Best Wedding Magician 2017 Means Nothing. And literally in the notes it says, ooh, cutting. If you download the notes, you can read that. But, yeah.
You'll see that in writing. It looks
you'll
better.
see that in writing, but yes, it's a tooth dryer, that's for sure. So yeah, I think with blogs, there's nothing wrong with being controversial, and I think well, the last thing you want to be is vanilla, but there's nothing wrong with being controversial. So when most people win awards, and we're not going to an argument about the validity of awards, but when most people win awards, they quite rightly kind of hold them aloft and shout from the rooftops about them, and they use it to promote themselves or whatever. Having a post go out that not only isn't celebrating it but is like openly calling it nothing is naturally very intriguing, and it's obviously very controversial. So people can be thinking, like, this guy has won Best Wedding Magician 2017. Why on earth wouldn't he want to be shouting about it? So they will want to find out why. This that particular blog is probably my most commented on blog that I've ever had, because I think a lot of suppliers, more than brides themselves, were kind of drawn into it. But regardless, it was a very, very intriguing title for people. So the final points I want to make on this, and then I'm happy to do Q&A and everything on this. So final point number one: remember, you're using a title to sell someone the idea of reading your blog. So this is, like I said, it's like a line of sales pitch. It's a transaction of their time for your insight or information. Now, like Jack asked earlier about how long it takes, and I said in this, arguably your blog's title is the most important thing about it. So don't rush it. When it feels right, it's right. If you're still like going, oh, I'm not quite sure on it, but once you get the perfect blog title, it's just like, yeah, that's the one, done. It's it. Use humor, use exaggeration, use intrigue, use controversy, but be honest. I mean, with that award literally meant nothing to me. So although it sounds like I'm being really controversial, I was literally, oh great, because I think I've won that award 3 years running or something. So it's just undisputed champion, right? And finally, make sure your titles don't sound like they're clickbaity. I know I've covered this like briefly, but you don't want it to be like, when you go on some
The Daily
sites,
Mail.
Daily Mail or something like, or something like that, where it says, find out how this Weymouth-based single mum makes £1,000 a day without leaving the house, or whatever, or look at these 42 photos, and when people didn't realise what was happening behind them, like number 12 will shock you. Like people have clickbait detectors, so you do not want to be setting those off. So, yeah, that is the training on how to write blog titles that will make people actually read your blogs. If you want to download the notes on that, it is freeweddingtraining.co.uk.
It is. It's just gone on the thread there. So if you go to www.freeweddingtraining.co.uk, everything is there. You'll be able to you just have to put in your email address and your name, and you'll get an instant download of the notes that Chris has been talking about this evening. You can also download our previous live training, which was on wedding fair
booking incentives.
So,
yep,
you can download that there as well. So Jason makes the point that clickbait does get people to click. It does, but they are ultimately disappointed once they get there. Or that's what happens if I ever click a clickbaity title. And then I end up discrediting the person who wrote the blog or the website that wrote the blog in the first place. So that's why we tend to say to avoid clickbaiting, because it just doesn't do your brand justice in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. What ultimately what you want is people spending as long as possible on your website. So having someone click on to your website is completely pointless if they're going to click the back button like 3 seconds later. So it's much better to have a high quality title leading into a high quality blog, which people then read, because then people will then, by writing a good quality blog and getting someone to read it, it elevates your status as someone who knows their shit, basically. And people tend to want to give money to or book professionals who know what they're talking about. So yeah, it's not just about getting the click. It's about getting the click and then getting people to then stay on it, which is why I think clickbait. So no, I haven't I'll be honest, I haven't tested really clickbaity titles, but I know that Facebook does not like them. Um, just been told that by Facebook themselves. They don't like spam stuff, and it doesn't sit well with me anyway. So yeah, don't think that's that. But by all means, test it if you wish. Any other question? I think I saw one. Should you have a minimum number of words? I'm assuming for the title rather than the blog. That is. I think that in terms of a minimum, no. In terms of a maximum, ideally you want it to fit on a. If you're looking on a mobile, you don't want it to take up too many lines. You know, like two, maybe three, if we got it in vertical, because it shouldn't. It should look like a title, like a headline on imagine a headline on the news in a newspaper should be a bit like that. I mean, maybe a little bit longer than that because it's a slightly different format. So, you know, let's have a look. The ones that I've done. So, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 in that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in that one. It seems like we're going around 10 to 11 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 in the one about being a wedding planning boss, but it would have been 10 if we didn't have the addition of with very little effort in brackets at the end. So yeah, I'd say that's between 10 and 12 words is probably about right. To be honest, actually, the actual length that I like, generally, if you're making when you're making your Facebook ads and if you ever have, like I'm not talking about boosting a post, which is something entirely different. When you're actually making a proper Facebook ad, in the text, I like to fill in just the top line of that text box, because that's a definite width, and I want that to fit on that one line. I don't want it to jump down to a second line. So that's normally how I do it. But if it does go over, it's not the end of the world, because it might not necessarily be for a Facebook advert. So any other questions from anyone about blogging or whatever? Should I talk about the course?
Yeah, I was going to say, just quickly mention that.
Yeah, so the course is how to write wedding blogs that people will actually read. So this is something that I've taken the lead on, obviously, because Jack doesn't write any of his own blogs. So it's a 75-minute video course. It covers all sorts of different things. I mean, I'm not going to tell you word for word what to write, because it's essentially it's about you creating your own work in your own voice. So the sort of things that we're going to be talking about is why you should be blogging, the types of blog that you can be putting out there, what not to do, how often you need to be blogging, blog strategy, the one purpose of all blogs, showing your personality, my number one blogging hacks, making it readable, making Google happy, getting people to read it, and then as part of it, I did write a blog specifically for this course. I then go through the whole blog, like paragraph by paragraph, saying why I've written this right, like why I've written that there, why I've written this bit here, why I've written that bit there. So there's a full blog analysis which shows exactly how I've done everything. So yeah, that is the how to write wedding blogs that people will actually read. That is £67. If you are a member, then you will already have access to that. If you're one of our wild members, Jack will post a link if you are interested in buying that course. Yeah, £67, and you can pay that through PayPal, and it will be available for you to download. Is it download or stream, Jack? I can't remember.
It's download.
Yeah, available for you to download as soon as you have made a payment. Question from
Dean wants to know how often you recommend publishing a blog article.
Well, I talk about it in the course. I as often as you like, really. I think what looks monthly's fine. I don't feel like you need to do more than monthly. I try and do a couple a month, but what one of my most successful blogs still is one that I wrote 3.5 years ago, and I still promote it. It's not always about churning out new content. Obviously, it's good to get new content out to keep the website fresh and to kind of keep it up to date and for SEO purposes as well. But monthly is very, very achievable. But if you want to go more than that, but I think that me and Jack have done a lot of website audits, and a couple of them we've seen it where people have said, "Oh, I've got a blog," and then you click on the blog and you see nothing new's been added since like October 2016, and that just looks a little bit rubbish. So I think that it's the sort of thing that you want to commit to it, but you don't have to put something up every week. You don't have to put everything. You don't have to put something up every month, but you do want there to be. As soon as it looks like there's nothing going on there, then you might as well remove it from your site. But yeah, like you say, Dean, monthly is definitely manageable.
I think, I mean, obviously I don't write the blogs myself, but I feel like the right number kind of sits with it's quality over quantity more than anything. So if you're feeling like if you were to go weekly, for example, and you felt like you were having to try and churn out content, that's when the quality is going to start to dip and it's not going to feel natural and it's not going to work as well. So
Yep.
monthly, I feel like is manageable because first of all, it allows you to keep your ideas fresh, keeps you interested, keeps you engaged, and it allows you to kind of not feel like you're forcing content out of your brain and like you're just trying to create something out of nothing.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, and yes, I think that you can you can create a blog in a morning, and it's like what one set aside one morning a month, and then that's your blog done. Um, so yeah. Any other questions?
Nothing has come through at the moment, but I'm sure if people have any as we go through, then they will do that. Before we move on to the reason that everybody's here,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question because I haven't had a chance to. Um, Sorry, just very quickly. Jason recommends that if you can afford a blog writer, get someone to do it for you. It very much depends on your style, I think, because if you're trying to get across your personality and who you are as a person, then you should probably write it yourself,
Yeah. Agreed.
because people will then come to know you a little bit better, and understand who you are, which I think is important as well. So it very much depends on who you are and whether, because if you're a bigger business, so I know that Jason is a larger business. If I remember correctly, he's an ice cream, sells ice cream at weddings, does ice creams for weddings. You have the opportunity to not be at the weddings, so perhaps you're not as integral as a magician is, because the magician obviously is the center of the business, whereas that's not necessarily the case with you, Jason. Obviously, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. So maybe hiring a blog writer would work for you, but maybe a photographer or a one-man band should probably write their own blogs if they can. Obviously, I'm an exception to that, but that's due to the fact I'm crap at writing.
Yeah. And well, just a digital marketer, when they put their blogs out, they make sure that you know which member of the team has written that blog and what sector they're in, because they do believe in that kind of the whole buying from people, even though it's a business sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's certain members of their team who I like their stuff, and there's certain members of their team who I can't buy the products if they have anything to do with it. It's a bit of an in-joke between me and Jack.
Oh dear, yeah.
And
So Jason, if you are really bad at writing, then I would perhaps recommend hiring someone to do that for you. If it's, I mean, and they don't have to be expensive either. They're not always very expensive. So
I have actually written a blog on the Wedding Industry Wisdom website about how to write blogs if you can't write blogs.
there you go. Go read that.
Go and read that, because that's basically, and I do that on top of the helpful blogs that I write as well. So there are ways, even if you can't writ so well.
Not that good at the writing. So
Writing.
yeah, I'm just gonna I haven't spoken to Chris today because I've had a few other things crop up, which meant we haven't had a chance to discuss this. Do you want to talk about what's happened? Are we going to mention what's going to happen next week, or are we next week's live, or are we going to leave people in the dark and sort of tease them?
Whoever, just say yes or no. The next person to say whether they want to know now or not, or wait. Do you want to be teased
They're all
or do you
going
want
to
to know
say yes.
now?
Obviously, they're going to want to know now, aren't they? So
Oh, we'll see. If they don't comment, I'm going to give them 12 seconds to comment. Otherwise, they're going to
I
be
feel
kept
like
in the
that's
dark.
slightly unfair, but okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ariane says, tell us.
She does say tell us. So, yeah, next week's live is not live. Ta-da!
Woo!
We got a Monday off, but
There will be something for you to watch and listen to on Monday. Don't worry, because I know you're going, well, what am I going to listen to?
what
But
am
there
I
will be
possibly
something
going
there.
to do? What am I possibly going to do with myself on a Monday evening? So are we now actually saying what it is?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we might as well. If we've got this deep, we might as well finish it off.
Well, I've done like 99% of the talking, so you can.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, so next week we are not live. It is a pre-recorded episode where we do a live, sort of, not live. We do
It
a
was live at the
coaching call.
time.
It was live at the time. A live coaching call will be streamed for you guys to watch. So, those of you who know what we do, we offer coaching calls for people and for businesses to go through what they're struggling with in their business. And this is essentially a recorded version of one of those. So, you will get to see someone talk to us for an hour about their business, what they want to achieve, where their pain points are, and how they are hoping to grow their business. And the great thing is, it may sound in the first instance that's not particularly interesting for you because it's not your business, but I think what's really interesting about it is the stuff that comes out that perhaps we wouldn't normally talk about. There's things that will apply across the board to everyone's businesses that we would never mention or bring up or talk about, but come up in this coaching call. So you will get the opportunity to listen to that entire hour coaching call completely free of charge, be able to take as many notes as you like on it. It will be available to stream on the group at 7 o'clock, or as close as Chris's internet will upload it for 7 o'clock. And it will be available as a podcast on Monday. Are we going to do it? We're going to release it at the same time, 7 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, why not? So if you just want to listen to our sultry tones instead of watching us as well, you can listen to that on Monday evening as well.
Sultry? Do you mean dulcet tones, or do you actually mean sultry tones?
I meant, it's been a really long day. Yeah, a lot's gone on today, so I need to go to bed, I think.
Sultry tones.
I meant dulcet tones. Please excuse that. It was horrific.
Or Dorset tones. That would have been okay.
Dorset tones, yeah.
Or Dorset tones.
Very quickly before we move on to the fight, before we carry on with that, Denise has asked a question. I don't know if you saw that question about how much a blog writer charges. I mean, is it hundreds? Question mark. They can be, not all the time though. You can get a blog writer who'll charge about £25 an hour, £35 an hour maybe. And they'll usually be able to write a blog post in an hour, hour and a half. So you're not looking at huge expenses, especially if you're only going to do once a month. Then you're looking at £35 to £40 a month, something like that, maybe, to get a decent copywriter to do that for you.
But what I'd say, before you pay someone, have a go.
Try it. Yeah.
Try it. Give it a go. Give it a go. I mean, I think that the course breaks down quite a lot of the stigma around, oh my god, it's got to be perfect in every single way or whatever. If you can talk, you can write. I think I genuinely believe that. So if you can just type it out as you're thinking, and if it, put it up, and what's the worst that's going to happen? It's probably not going
to. Ariane wants to know how much you'll charge to write a blog, Chris.
10 grand.
Bargain. Do it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no.
You don't. You're happy writing your own blogs. Don't want to be writing
I'm
anyone
happy.
else's.
Uh,
So
um,
Denise has had a blog for years, but is clearly not very good at it. So it takes a bit of practice. You just need to keep going at it. I mean, that is the thing. Like, part of the reason I don't write my own blogs is because my business doesn't come through those means that the blogs could usually be used for. That's not what. So it's not worth my time putting in a lot of effort into writing a blog post. So that's why it's easy for me to just outsource it, because ultimately it brings in about the same amount it costs me. Obviously, it brings in more than it costs me, but that's not my main form of business. So it's not worth me spending a lot of time writing a blog post. I'd rather outsource it to someone else.
Here's an unscheduled question for you.
Okay.
Are you tempted to write your own blog now that since you recorded the course with me?
Well, as I've just taken my blogs off my website, no. But
So, so the course that we recorded is so good it made Jack delete all of his blogs from his website.
yeah, pretty
So
much. It was that good. There you
it's
go. That's the
that good,
quote for
people.
it.
That's the quote for it. That's the sales
um,
pitch right there.
yeah, I would say so, because I genuinely didn't know a lot of the stuff you were talking about. So it was really interesting to kind of see, especially how you structured out a blog post. And going through that with a real life blog post is really interesting for me, because I learned a lot from that. So yeah, I think if I still had the blogs on my website, which I'm testing at the moment, and I'll be sure to let you guys know how I go on with the streamlined website.
Yeah,
Um,
Jack's testing something very fancy pants.
I'm making it look like I don't need their work. So it's it's an interesting theory that I'm trying out at the moment. So we'll see how it goes.
It's yeah. So basically, when you go on Jack's website, it scans your face and works out how much money you've got, and then it just explodes your computer if you look too poor.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how it works.
That's how it works, is it? Okay, perfect. I feel like you're stalling.
Why you want me
Uh,
to open this?
I just Julie Nunn says, "Do blogs work?" They
Yes, we just spent the last hour saying yes.
we just been
Um,
yeah. Listen back to it, Julie. Bottom line, yes. Um, Den Denise says she's had a blog for years, but it's not done much of it. But she's got it on Blogspot, which I think is a mistake. If you can import your blogs onto your website, I think that would be very, very beneficial. But that depends on how your website is set up. If it's on WordPress, then it would be. I've never said this word before, but I think it would be a doddle. It's probably a word you use
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
be a doddle, I think.
I imagine you say doddle a lot. I don't. I think that's the first time.
I don't think I do.
You don't.
I've not
You
really
look.
thought about it, if I'm honest.
You probably say it all the time without knowing.
I'll pay attention to it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, so if you could let us know at some point how frequently you use the word doddle.
I'll
Oh,
just make a note every time I do it.
that's a really horrible word to say.
Doddle.
Ugh. Ugh. No, stop it. Stop stalling. Right. So to finish this off, um, I'm I'm s- I don't know if I'm scared or excited about this, but just to catch up for anyone who's arriving to this live late or has some reason come to this podcast with no knowledge whatsoever, someone has sent Jack something in the post, possibly phallic related, based
For
upon
my
the fact that
birthday.
for your birthday. So Jack's now going to open it live. I mean, I I think we're just going to have to see what happens. You look. I've never
Yeah,
seen you. I've never seen you look so sheepish.
I don't know what to expect, Chris. I'm slightly scared.
So Jack
So I'm
is
just
yeah.
peeling it off. I'm going to try and do this for the. Let's see if we can open this up. Hang on.
I'm
There we
so
go.
excited. Can you read what it says on the outside? So this
Yeah, it says happy belated birthday, Jack. It says open on camera for some great content. It says funny poster inside, but I'm intrigued as to what funny poster it could be. So I'm
okay.
just taking the lid off it at the moment. Oh shit!
So,
Oh,
I was that something? Was that a spring-loaded? What
spring-loaded
happened?
penis confetti.
It was full of spring-loaded penis confetti, which
Wow, that's
is
quite the treat for those of you listening on the podcast who don't get to see that and you just hear my reaction.
so. Is there
Oh,
is there penis confetti all over your floor?
all over the office floor. Yeah, my cleaner is going to have a field day.
See, Jack has a cleaner. He doesn't even have to clear that up. But I feel like you're going to clear that up because you don't want to have to explain why there's penis confetti.
Well, there is that. I mean, the thing is, though, my partner is currently out at the moment, and she won't be back for another hour or so. So I have
Do you know where the Hoover
about
is?
time to clear up.
Can our viewers see the mess?
Yeah, please, yeah, yeah. I can show you guys the mess. I don't mind doing
Come
that.
on.
Hang on, let's see if I can
Who sent it?
turn this
I want to
around.
know.
Um, so we've got penis confetti all over everywhere, and
Amazing.
then it's mainly on the floor, if I'm
Oh
honest.
wow. There's
That's
loads.
yeah.
Oh my god.
So,
That is.
oh, you can see my today's socks as well while you're here. Let me take my slipper off.
Oh my god, you're wearing
There you go.
slippers.
That's my yeah. Yeah. So
How are you
I've got
20 years
penis.
older than me, but 10 years younger? Oh, a,
There you
a,
go.
a, a virtual high five to whoever sent that.
I mean, I need to change the address on the bottom of our emails by the looks of things.
So everyone send Jack more stuff. Uh,
Oh,
um,
yeah, Jason, you're bang on there. That stuff does stay for years. It doesn't matter how well you clean, you will still find them years later. And the great thing is, we are moving out, so the new owners of this house will be finding penis confetti all over the place.
I'm so happy. That was wonderful.
Oh, that was
I'm
horrific.
just gonna have to watch the live back and somehow capture it and then post the slow-mo live on the group. That's what I'm gonna do for you lovely people. Just so
I should have
you don't
known
know.
better, really, shouldn't I?
Well, is there actually a
I've
post?
got penises on my arm and everything. Sentences I never thought I'd say.
Um, have is that actually a poster or was that just a lie?
No,
Is
it
there a
was a
post?
lie. No,
Just
no,
a
someone has
oh
literally. No,
just
they've just put a spring in a tube. Well, yes. Thank you.
I'm not really sure what there else is to say, but hope you've enjoyed tonight's live training. I certainly have enjoyed providing the training and watching Jack getting covered in penises. So, yes, if you are interested in learning how to write wedding blogs that people actually read, then the course of that very name is now available. You can find it on weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk, and all our other stuff is on there as well. So yeah, thanks for watching and listening today. Jack is just there busy.
I'm busy
Yeah,
sweeping up the penises, Chris. That's what
yeah,
I'm doing.
Jack is busy sweeping up the penises. And anything else to add to finish off?
Um, whoever sent that, I've gone off them. Um, thank you, whoever sent them to me. It was very kind of you, and that's all I've got to say on the matter.
Jack nearly swore then. That's how mad he is.
So mad. I mean, if I was old enough to swear, tell you.
Yeah, yeah, but you don't want to get in trouble, so just don't.
No, no.
So we will not be live next week, but there will be a video for you to watch from 7. That is a live coaching call with us and someone. I'm not to say who. No, I didn't send it. It was not me. It was not me that sent it. I don't know. The handwriting looks like it's a woman's. Jack appears to have left the call. I swear On my children's life, I did not send Jack springy penis confetti thing. Jack has now left. It is just me. I will not see you next week for a live because it's not a live. There will be a video for you to watch. It is a live coaching call. Well, it was live at the time coaching call, pre-recorded, but hopefully there's some great information in there for you to see how a coaching call works, and hopefully you get some great information from that as well. But we'll be back the following week with some content or other. Any problems, any questions, post them in the group, and we will look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.